Good morning again. This is your old buddy Ponytail Bob. And I say old, I don't know if I had mentioned this before, but old in the sense that I am 83. Actually, 83 and a half. And just to put it in a bit of perspective, I was 3 years old when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. So I've been around a long time, seen a lot of things. And I want to tell you a story today, experience that I had. I call it a well-lived life is never having to say, if only. It's a true canine story about my doggie named Mimi. My Mimi, a gangly year-old mixed breed puppy, discovered me the morning I walked by her cage at the Detroit Zoo's adoption day. She led me home that day even though she'd never been here before. She looked nothing like the kind of dog I had imagined on my way to the zoo, but she was everything I wanted and needed. She was a very laid-back doggie. She demanded nothing and seemed content with that. After getting used to each other for a while, I wrote this about her. My Mimi. Every night, as soon as I turn off the lights and lay down on my couch to sleep, Mimi makes one hop and is up on the couch down by my feet. Every night is exactly the same. In spite of the fact that there's little room between me and the back of the couch, all 55 pounds of Mimi, lightly and carefully, steps her way up to where my chest is resting and plops down, with her head on my chest. I love my Mimi, and she loves me. Our 14 years together went by comfortably and more quickly than I'd realized. Then came a day that I noticed her moving more slowly and looking surprisedly gaunt. The eyes that met mine that morning seemed both tired and sad. I was the only person in her life she could look to as she spoke silently to me that morning. Not long after, we learned our partnership was coming to an end. And so it did that final morning in her vet's immaculate, bright white clinic room. Mimi did what she always did there. She walked slowly around, sniffing out every previous visitor. Satisfied that she had learned all she could learn, she came back and lay down right by me. She started wagging her tail when the door opened up slowly. Her friend, the vet, carried in a huge, softly, wildly colored blanket in noisy contrast to that silent white room. Mimi and I sat down on the blanket together. Her friend, the vet, surprised me and her by putting a small bowl of ice cream in front of her. She became a puppy all over again. When the bowl was finally licked clean, she settled back down and put her head in my lap, looking up at me as she had every day for our past 14 years together. I held her as her other human friend, the vet, did what she had to do. I watched my Mimi's loving eyes close slowly and forever. That immaculate white room shouted out silence. Caught totally aware, I was shook by a sob, and again and over and over. It took a long time for me to settle down, but then slowly, with the visible tears dried, I drove home. The same way I came, only this time alone. During the coming days, I looked at her empty bed and thought a lot about her. I smiled as I realized what a laid-back dog she was. She didn't give two hoots about the ball I would throw. It's like she would just look at it and then back at me as if to say, "Why did you do that? You seem to like that thing so much. Why don't you go get it yourself?" She asked for so little, yet gave me so much. It saddened me as I slowly came to realize she gave me much more than I ever gave her. Without realizing it, I had taken her so much for granted. I was always busy doing important things, and I failed to show her and tell her how much she meant to me. Now it was too late. I could never make it up to her. I could never tell her again how important she was to me. I thought to myself, if only. As a result of Mimi and me, one day I stopped a total stranger on the street and told her, "I like your hat," because I did. Mimi taught me that there are so many people around me and have been around me that I've also been taking for granted for many years. Mimi taught me to tell each of these people, "I like your hat," each in their own way. Mimi left me with a forever lesson. A well-lived life is never having to say, "if only."